Done.
And I request you to say, I'm Javed Bhatti, I'm a fighter, and I can do this.
I am Javed Bhatti. I am a fighter. And I can do this.
That's more like it. Our next contestant, Javed Bhatti. Let's fight. Let's fight, Javed Bhatti. The stage is yours.
Do you wanna fight? Come on. Come kahora, kahora. Still wanna fight? Come on, let's fight then. Life is a war. And you have to fight. Even if you don't like it, or even if you are scared or intimidated by your opponent. We'll get to that later. But if life is a war, there must be two parties involved. You cannot fight a war alone. You cannot step into a boxing ring alone. You have to have opponent. And most of the time, that opponent will be your enemy. Fellow warriors, do you have enemies? Well, if you said yes, you must be very grateful. But if you said no, I feel sorry for you. Because enemies are a blessing. They make your life exciting by challenging you and beating you. They demand you to stay on your feet, always alert and strong. Now, don't get me wrong. It is nice to have someone pat on your back, but it is vital to have that someone who can push you down. I have had my share of enemies in life, and ever since I was a child, I have been fighting. In my school days, I was a skinny boy, and all my other classmates, they used to bully me. There was one tough guy. He was the son of a rich businessman. His father dropped him at school in his brand new car, whereas my father dropped me on his old rusty motorcycle. I was ashamed of that. I was so ashamed that I used to ask my father to drop me half a kilometer away so that no one can notice that my father has an old bike. But one day that tough boy, he saw me get off my father's bike and he made my life miserable. He would call me Bonnie, girly, but I would just ignore him. He would throw me onto the ground just to show his friends how strong he was. But I would never fight back. But when he made fun of my father's bike, I went up to him and I shouted, "Do you want to fight? Come on, let's fight." I somehow managed to pass that phase of my life. But I was not ready for what was about to come in the next chapter of my life. In my college days, I was a shy, self-centered boy. But I was somewhat better looking amongst all my other friends. At least that's what I thought. My friends, they had crookers and they had round belly, whereas me, I had long hair and I had six-pack abs. In my college, I don't know why, speaking English was considered a sign of being educated. And I was not only speaking English, I was singing heavy metal Metallica songs. And my friends, they used to admire me. I felt special. I felt proud of my distinction. And one day, I was standing, a figure among ciphers among my friends. A girl approached me with a rose in her hand, and she proposed, "Will you be my Valentine?" I was happy. Finally, a girl, come on. I said, "Look, sister, I'm not into girls and roses. I'm into guns and roses." I rejected her, and I felt proud in doing so. After that, my friends even admired me more. But that girl, she never gave up on me. She kept on trying, and we became friends, and we decided to marry each other. Now it was my turn to talk to my parents. I went up to them, and I informed them about my decision to marry this girl, but they resisted. But little did they know, they had a little choice in this. I was their only child. I threatened them with suicide attempts, and they were forced to agree to my decision. I've had an attitude either it is going to be my way or the highway. Now it was my time to talk to the girl's father. I went up to him and I said, Sir, I want to marry your daughter because I love her. And before I can finish my sentence, he stopped me right there. He said, Look, son, I know what is cooking between you and my daughter. I don't want to see you around her anymore. In my family, we don't marry our daughters with outsiders. I would rather kill her than to let her marry a boy like you. Get lost. And he threw me out of the house. And there I was standing in the middle of the street. All I could do is to cry. So I cried. I cried out loud, Ah! Do you want to fight? Let's fight. That rejection taught me one valuable lesson that day. The toughest battles you're ever going to fight is against yourself. Our real enemies lie within us, not the outsider. My opponent in school was not that boy who used to bully me. It was my own cowardice and my shyness. My problem was not the social status of my father. My problem was my own concern about what would people think of me. My enemy was not that girl's father who rejected me. My enemy was my own big ego. Here in Toastmaster, my challenge is not to beat other fellow contestants. My challenge is to beat my own fear of public speaking. So in life, when you are faced with those enemies that lie inside of you, no matter how strong they are, never get